Chennedy Carter ended up getting into an interview with an influencer and basically giving her side of the story when it came to the Caitlin Clark shove over moment.
When every WNBA team passes on signing a talented scorer like Carter, it's like watching a player ignore warning signs on the court. Chennedy Carter recently broke her silence about the Caitlin Clark incident and what she said could actually hurt her career. She called that aggressive hip check a nice little tap and said it's part of basketball. This video examines how a pattern of behavior can ruin promising careers, from locker room fights to social media feuds. Carter's answer in this new interview is lacking an important detail. Her account of what transpired on that court differs from what we all witnessed.
Nothing actually illegal has taken place, to my knowledge, involving Chennedy Carter. Yeah, that was a really ugly foul, and I understand it was bordering on what looked like assault. We all remember the vicious hip check. I also will not forget Angel Reese jumping up off the bench.
Tensions were high and fans were glued to the action as the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky played a highly anticipated game. Chennedy Carter caught everyone off guard by giving Caitlin Clark a vicious, unprovoked elbow check in the middle of the action. The moment went viral, igniting outrage on social media and in the sports community. Chennedy Carter now has 12 points off the bench, and fans were horrified not only by his hit but also by his subsequent silence. Carter exhibited no remorse, neither on nor off the floor, and that moment had dire repercussions. Both the league and team management took notice of the incident, which tarnished Carter's reputation in a league where image and chemistry are crucial. Ever since, teams have been reluctant to add her to their roster.
And I am shocked that, for example, the expansion team, the Valkyries, haven't signed her. The Las Vegas Aces. I mean, hell, I look at the Chicago Sky and wonder, what? Connecticut Sun would be another one? There are teams right now that are very devoid of offensive talent, and she's one of them, right?
So Chennedy, then. In a recent interview, Carter finally spoke out about the Caitlin Clark push, and her explanation may literally leave you speechless. Carter attempted to minimize what millions of basketball fans saw firsthand, saying it was only a small tap that took place during a competitive game. But let's face it, the video paints a totally different picture.
Do you watch every game, every single game, to see if you can find any deflects in my game? And it's really nothing that you probably could say too much about. So then you have trolls, and that's what I said. They're gonna be around regardless. But yeah, it was just like a nice little tap, I'm here, not to
This is untrue because the entire sequence was filmed by the cameras. Carter purposefully went up to Clark when the ball wasn't even in play. There was no basketball-related justification for this altercation. Carter called Clark, her remarks captured on video, and then gave him what was plainly a forceful shove. When she came up, Clark wasn't even glancing at Carter, so the rookie was caught off guard by the verbal abuse and the physical touch. His sincere surprise later made it clear that this wasn't a typical basketball encounter, even at the professional level.
What warranted the shove over while the ball wasn't even in play? Yeah, you get back in her face and talk trash, but don't just go over there and bowl her over and the ball not even in play. That's two different things right there. Yeah, if you get hit in the face, that happens. All right, that happens in basketball. You can get hit in the face, hit in the head. You can get hit anywhere during a basketball move or play, right? But the fact that you had a dead ball going on and you went over there, you called her a B, and then bowled her over. Yeah, that's a little different.
Carter's explanation in the interview contradicts the visual evidence that all witnesses saw. She portrays the incident as being lighthearted on the court and says she gave Clark a slight shove because Clark was complaining, but the video reveals a purposeful, violent push that followed a verbal insult. There is nothing amusing or spontaneous about it.
You know, if you want to push somebody, you're gonna full force
But people really made it a crazy big deal. I've seen the clip.
Yeah.
But I'm not crazy deep in the WNBA world, but in the WNBA world, they dragged it like crazy.
I mean, that happens, man. It's one of those things. I'm a great player. She's a great player. It looks a certain way. Everybody's going to have their views on it. But my personal view is, I don't have anything against her. She's a great player, and so am I. And I've got buckets all that season. You know what I'm saying? So
Carter tries to describe this as normal basketball smack talk, But competitive trash talk during play is very different from approaching someone after play is over and physically pushing them. The former embodies basketball's spirit of competition, while the latter devolves into unprofessional behavior that the league cannot accept.
That's a little different than somebody talking trash in your face. Just because you might see other players do it and they give an excuse of why they did it in the NBA.
This distinction is important because women's basketball is fighting for respect, and the WNBA is seeing unprecedented growth in viewership as new fans tune in. Many people are watching because of players like Clark, who are energizing the league, but Carter's actions harm the league's reputation as a league that is working hard to establish legitimacy.
Just be a good sportsman and play within the game. That's all. Bust your opponent, but within the game. Don't get the physical punching and bowing. I can't stand a dirty player.
The repercussions have been severe because, despite her ability to score, no WNBA team has signed Carter since her release from the Sky team. This is because, rather than accepting responsibility for her actions, she is downplaying what actually occurred, effectively gaslighting fans who witnessed the incident.
Oh, just give her like a little, like, I'm here. Like, you know, I don't think it was, you know what's crazy? Me and my brother went back and watched, and we seen a lot of clips in the NBA of guys getting like pushing LeBron. Like, I think it was Jeff Teague or somebody who like pushed LeBron out of bounds, like said, man, I was mad because like we couldn't stop him. So I'm just like, it's like one of those things, like it happens in basketball. I know people try to say, oh, it's not one of those things.
It's not a personal thing, it's a competitive thing.
It happens in basketball, and like it's just one of those things. But like, yeah, it's kind of what happened, and then it spiraled out of control.
And then the media takes whatever narrative they want.
This discrepancy between Carter's account and the available data explains why WNBA front offices are avoiding contact. Teams are debating whether they want a player who refuses to admit egregious misconduct or who thinks an unjustified altercation is just a small tap. Thus far, the response has been no.
That I don't think the Caitlin Clark moment is the reason she's not in the WNBA. I do remember a moment, it was like tweeting.
What's going on Carter's phone screen could be even more detrimental to her career prospects while organizations are avoiding her due to that on-court incident. General managers are reconsidering inviting her into their locker rooms after seeing a pattern of activity in her digital trail.
And basically, ESPN had her as the 25th player in the league or something like that. And I think Angel was up like the number 12. She was up high. And basically, Chennedy had a problem not with the Angel Reese statement, but she was talking about the point guard.
Considering that Angel Reese was ranked higher than Carter in the ESPN rankings, most players would use it as inspiration in the gym, perhaps posting it on their vision board or just letting their performance speak for itself. Not Carter. She took to social media right away to vent her annoyance, demonstrating to everyone how she responds to perceived slights by making them public and personal. Carter's response turned a typical sports media evaluation into proof of disrespect, which WNBA executives found concerning. A player who battles jealousy and finds it difficult to process professional evaluations without taking them personally.
She was like, how are my stats are top 5 or top 10, something like that, but y'all have me ranked at 25.
Even while well-known WNBA players like Breanna Stewart and A.A. Wilson discussed training highlights or team goals, and community service Carter appeared to be distracted by the turmoil surrounding rankings while vying for a roster position in the world's most competitive women's basketball league.
And then I think a tweet that was kind of related to that came out, and they were like, look, the reason the Sky are looking like they can make the playoffs is because of Chennedy Carter and the rest. That's what somebody tweeted, and she ended up liking that post. That could be tying into the fact that it might be a little chaos or drama being created within the organization.
The response from the ranks was only the first step. She enjoyed a post that implied Carter was rescuing her squad. Imagine being in that locker room after witnessing a teammate effectively throw you under the bus online. Basketball is the ultimate team sport, and front offices look for players who uplift others rather than those who portray themselves as the sole saviors of underperforming groups. A professional basketball player publicly endorsed content that implied her teammates weren't pulling their weight while she carried them.
her liking that tweet, she didn't go to the game. She didn't play in the game, right? Now, I don't know. They did show hospital pictures and things like that. But yeah, man, a lot of people felt like that was a scapegoat. A lot of people felt like, oh, she kept saying she had COVID.
General managers received a strong message from this digital activity. While respected veterans may acknowledge rankings for a short time, they quickly shift the focus to team goals, knowing that individual accolades follow collective wins. Carter seemed more focused on personal recognition than team success in a league where creating a championship culture is everything. The WNBA is more than just basketball these days, and with record viewership and increasing sponsor interest, players are public figures representing entire franchises. As a result, when general managers notice Carter using social media to vent frustration rather than to foster positivity, it raises concerns because they start to doubt her capacity to prioritize the team, remain professional under pressure, and take criticism without personalizing it.
Because after that tweet and her liking that tweet, she didn't go to the game. She didn't play in the game, right? Now, I don't know. They did show hospital pictures and things like that. But yeah, man, a lot of people felt like that was a scapegoat.
Carter's skill is undeniable. She can score goals. However, in professional sports, skill isn't enough. Her digital blunders have turned her story into a warning about how social media conduct can ruin even the most promising athletic careers before they really get started.
Honestly, you know, she ended up slapping Marina Mabrey when they first played each other after she left their team. So that could be a thing too if you want to go off of her actions on the.
The locker room incident with Camila Cardoso wasn't just a small argument that got out of hand. Rather, it was the obvious emergence of a pattern so alarming that WNBA teams are actually choosing peace over points when making roster decisions. Carter's talent may get her in the door, but what happens behind those doors is why teams are showing her the exit.
And we can also talk about her history, right? And then we remember what we was hearing in the locker room when they lost. I forgot what game that was, but they ended up losing, and it was commotion in the back. And Camila Cardoso was saying, hey, close the door.
What precisely transpired between Cardoso and Carter's several witnesses saw the altercation, which went far beyond typical teammate arguments and got so heated that someone had to intervene to break it up before it got out of control. This is not like the heated arguments you see in NBA or NFL locker rooms, which usually end quickly. This incident went beyond boundaries that professional teams view as detrimental to team cohesiveness, and what's even more concerning is that it took place in front of multiple witnesses, meaning Carter displayed no self-control even in the front of an audience.
And then it also made me think about the tweet where people feel like she was coming at Angel Reese as far as saying it's so important to make all of your shots.
When Carter claims in interviews that she is a competitive player, she is conveniently omitting the history of disturbance she has caused in numerous locker rooms. This Cardoso episode is part of a much bigger pattern of problems that have followed Carter throughout her career. The evidence is self-evident. According to one source, athletes have actually left teams because of Carter, which is why Michaela wanted to leave and why Marina Mabrey wanted to leave. These are professional athletes who are making life-altering choices in order to leave the toxic environment Carter fosters, which alienates teammates.
Twice at the end of the game, she didn't necessarily want to pass her the ball. So yeah, I just feel like it's a lot more into it than one moment. I think it was actually some organization issues, maybe some chemistry problems, some drama in the locker room. It's a reason Michaela wanted to leave, right? It's a reason Marina.
The way that sources explain the problem is especially instructive. There is much more to it than just one moment. Perhaps some chemical issues, there is some drama in the locker room, but it isn't related to any one incident. The team structure grew fractured as a result of the locker room turning into a pressure cooker that finally erupted. Why haven't these topics received greater attention? WNBA teams put a lot of effort into keeping internal disputes confidential. What appears on social media is simply the beginning. For every public occurrence, there are countless more that take place behind closed doors that are only known to insiders.
Nothing was clear, excuses were made. This is desperate damage control from someone with a pattern of behavior. It was still a cheap shot and unwarranted, first of all. Secondly, we made a bigger deal when Angel Reese celebrated it. Finally, this wasn't even the main reason no one wants to sign Chennedy Carter. Exactly. This is how
When general managers are thinking about acquiring a player, they look at more than just stat sheets. They phone previous coaches and teammates to find out how a player responds to hardship and behaves when Carter isn't on camera. These discussions raise serious concerns. Although Carter is an exceptional scorer and her potential is apparent, WNBA teams are forming cohesive teams that need to work together during a demanding season. A player who shatters that harmony might ruin a whole campaign.
She is too talented. I don't know if you guys saw what she did in China. She was freaking ridiculous over there. And, I mean, she's 17, 18, 19 points a game, I think, every night for some team.
Teams are expressing unequivocally that they would rather to have greater harmony and less skill than to cope with the disruption she causes, which is a disastrous professional move.
In my opinion, I hated what she did to Caitlin Clark last year, but I think she should be on a team. One more shot. Let's do one more shot.
Yet, in her most recent interview, she revealed what may be the most startling aspect of everything. You can see that you feed off of people saying things like, "I love the hate, I love it." Chennedy Carter openly states that she likes the hate and that she feeds off of it. This makes everything clear. WNBA clubs need to think about when a player chooses controversy above accountability. It impacts all facets of team dynamics. Talent alone does not create a champion team's culture. In basketball, the question is whether you value skill over team cohesiveness. Just as in life, how you handle criticism ultimately determines your future. Nothing truly unlawful has happened.